Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Please Put Them on Takamine-san Season 1, Episode 10. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, we open with, it's supposed to be a day where Takane tutors Koshi, but they have the uninvited guest of Eri. But it's interesting because like the moment she's there, you can tell Takane's upset because it's supposed to be her one-on-one time with Koshi, but also who knows what other things she would have done in that moment to kind of draw them closer, whether it's like a repeat of the teacher outfit, or like she would have done something in that moment to kind of like draw his attention more and just kind of get him a little more hot and bothered. But she can't do that with Harry around, and so she kind of like the moment her and Koshi bumped into each other, it's like, oh, I'm tagging along. Now, the question at the time was like, okay, well, what was her motivation? Initially, I'm like, well, maybe she tagged along, not being able to kind of read the room, because it seems like sometimes she's a hard time reading the room, even though it seems like other times she can. So I was thinking initially, I'm like, is that the case? And then later on, I started thinking like, well, the moment Koshi found, like, overhears what Takane said, like, oh, maybe you should go hang out with your girlfriend, right? But it's like, nah, she's busy with work, so... But then, like, Koshi's like, oh, she has a girlfriend, not a boyfriend? Oh. He's like, well, to be fair, back in middle school, she was always more interested in girls than boys. But then it's like, wait, is she interested in Takane? Nah, she couldn't be. But then, like, she kind of bumps into and touches her boob a little bit. And it's like, oh, was that... Nah, that couldn't have been intentional. And then Eri has a look, that perverted look, like, ah! It's like, that totally was intentional. And now Takane's like, yo, go get us some snacks and drinks. But he's like, I kind of don't want to leave you guys in a room alone because I don't know what Eri's going to do. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, is this an orchestrated plan by both of them? Is Eri trying to play wingman to try and like make Takane like to make Koshi jealous, if like her feeling on Takane or something like that. I initially thought that, but then it turns out no. So it does seem like her intention was, well, it's probably twofold. One, I do want to just hang out with you guys, but also I want to use it as an excuse to hang around Takane, even though you have a girlfriend, and your girlfriend already kind of chastised you like last episode about like, yo, oh, so you just happen to be hanging out with someone who happens to just be your type, so I think it's a little bit of all of the above with her, like with the exception of, I don't think she was playing wingman. I think she was just like, oh, I want to study, but mainly I just want to use it as an excuse to be around Takane. But Takane's like, yeah, I want to talk with you too. I need you to leave because I can't be tutoring both you and Koshi at the same time. And then like, Eri's like, oh, like you do, like, oh, you guys not dating yet? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, so you're not dating yet. It's like saying that, Koshi's always been the very oblivious type, which is interesting because it feels like she can be too, but despite her obliviousness, she's picking up on the signs way more than Koshi, to the point she's jealous when like Takane's like, well, and I love that she does the whole, the bit of, oh, not me, like it's not me, but I heard this from a friend, all the things she did to try to get a guy's attention. So it's like dressing like a cat, having your boobs out, like following him into the shower and stuff like that, into the bath. And Aries, she's like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of him. And we kind of get into Takane's like psyche a little bit and kind of her thought process about it, because like for her it's like she's doing all these things, but the fact is Koshi isn't doing anything makes her like feel like, oh, does he not view me as a woman? He does, but he's a little too like, it's twofold. And even Eric says like, right, Koshi doesn't have like the biggest amount of confidence, so like that's why he's kind of being a little oblivious when it comes to all of this. But it's like his lack of confidence, and also like in his mind, he can't even fathom that Takane might like him. It doesn't even register in his head. It's like, there's no way. Like, she's doing this to tease me and mess with me. I am her cloud, but it's like she like gave that position to you specifically, and it's because she likes you, and she uses it as kind of like her roundabout way to try and be like, yo, like I won't get through your thick head any other way, so I have to kind of go about kind of treating you in the most like erotically cruel way. but also it's the whole thing about all that he's done for her, like all the times he's come through her for her time and time again. But now she also has to deal with the conundrum of, is he doing that because he likes me, or is he doing that simply because he has a strong sense of justice and he just wants to do the right thing? So, but Ellery's like, no, no, he definitely likes you. Like someone would go that far, would only go that far, because they would like someone is why they'd go that far. It's also like to continue to do that despite everything, even like trying to go to the same college as you proves that he has feelings for you. It's like, yeah, it's going as far as like, studying the thing that he, studying because it's the thing that he hates. But she's like, when I ever said the person hates to study. And even Takane caught on to her, like, yeah, like you looking for an excuse to touch my boobs. And she's like, oh, you caught on to that. It's like, right. All you had to do was ask and I would have let you. And then you hear Kuro scratching at the door. So the moment Koshi gets back, I wasn't sure whether he was gonna walk in on like some boob squishing or whatever. But then like the fact that they kept it behind the door and his imagination is running around, I'm like, it's definitely about Koro, because Koro was literally scratching at the door. I'm like, it's meant to be misleading, and he was kind of stuck there. I mean, I wonder how long did he stay there before he actually went inside. He says eventually he learned the truth of like it was a misunderstanding. I'm like, how long did it take? Like, did he eventually like go in, or they caught him outside and he saw Koro and he's like, oh, I pieced it together? Or was that like way later? Because like the second half of the episode takes place like a few days later, so I don't know if there's any correlation of like he still hadn't figured it out then. But I'm curious when he ended up figuring it out. Was it like a couple minutes later? Was it hours later? Was it the next day or something? But yeah, that's where things currently stand. I brought this up last episode. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of an interesting, complicated conundrum where it's like, obviously Takane's into Koshi, but Koshi's into Takane, but like he doesn't think it's a two-way street. And obviously Eri's girlfriend knows like, oh, Takane's your type. And I figured that'd be interesting if there ended up being like the opposite, like Eri's significant other like looks at it as like she gets jealous or whatever, and then Koshi gets jealous. I thought there'd be kind of like a crossing lines of jealousy in that capacity, and this kind of touches on that a little bit. But I think we could probably deal with that even more in the future. Maybe not. It just depends on if they decide to do a storyline like that. But either way, we go into the second half of the episode. It's the second semester. Time to pull out the blazers now. And Takane enjoys the blazers because for her, it's like, well, with the summer like outfits, the spring and summer outfits, it means that when she sweats, like it's clear when she's not wearing a bra or something like that. But with the blazer on, it makes her kind of not have to worry about, I can use my powers willy-nilly without really like having to worry about anyone noticing I'm not wearing bra or anything like that. So it helps in that capacity. And this in itself actually inspires her to make up a game on their way to the train station. It's like, cool, I turn around, Koshi. I just rewound time. You have to guess. You have the 50-50 shot of whether or not I took off my bra or my underwear. The loser basically has to do one command from the winner. And it's like, oh, Koshi, if you win, I will wear like a bikini during our next study. But if you lose, that I'm going to sew your eyes and mouth shut, bound you, put headphones on you, and basically make it so that the only thing you hear is my voice for the rest of your life, and the last thing you ever saw is just the image of me. And like that, he's like, how the hell is that balanced? She's like, right, I know, right? Me being a bikini is like, this barely scratches the surface of like, saying me in a bikini is so well priced that like you're getting off easy with that just being the opposite end. So it isn't fair and balanced. But yeah, I immediately thought it was kind of a trick she was doing, because we know she's pulled the trick time and time again of using pasties because they still count. So I thought she was going to pull a trick where it was like a trick question because it wasn't actually underwear or bra. It was going to be pasties. But Koshi's like, how do I figure it out? He's like, I could take a peek, but then he's like, no, that's just going to play into her game of like, oh wow, I can't believe you did this. You rank up now as the pervert that you are. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give her that satisfaction. I'm not going to go down that route of being even more perverted. Okay, but he's like, oh, there's a puddle. He's like, all right, all I have to do is wait for her to walk over it, and if she's not wearing if she's wearing underwear, okay, then it's obviously her bra. But obviously, if he's like, oh, I could kind of cheat the system. But then he kind of gets self-conscious about it because he's like, wait, if she's not wearing underwear, that means I'm going to be looking at her bare, area. And he's just like, and he chose not to look. And so he ends up losing. But it turns out Takane she's on her A game. There was that one episode where, like, after the whole college situation, she was a little bit of a mess in the second half of the episode. But, like, she's on her A game, so she knows exactly what she's doing. So she's like, yeah, I even gave you an opportunity, but you didn't take it. Because he initially was like, yeah, but if I won like that without her noticing, it would have felt cheap. So he is the honorable person that he is, but it's also like, no, she gave you the hint. She did that on purpose because she was trying to, but she also knew he would never take advantage of that situation. So she probably, like, that's the thing. If he did, he wouldn't be the person that she likes. So that's like the catch-22 of it. Like, oh, I'm giving you this opportunity, even though I know you'll never bite because you're too you to ever, like, take advantage of this situation. So now, he's lost. She brings up like, oh, there's going to be a Cinderella play, and I was like, oh, interesting. And it turns out Koshi, like, their class did like a haunted house, but all he did was stand outside with a sign being like, oh yeah, like, here's, like, come into the house. And he's like, right, the whole, like, thing isn't my whole deal. Like, the cultural festival, it's not for someone like me. And the moment he said that, I was like, and she's going to force him to participate in the play. That's going to be her form of her price for winning, because the whole thing that Takane constantly does throughout this series is try to push Koshi to be more confident in himself, to believe in himself more, because she knows what kind of a good natured and good person he is and how capable he is if he pushes himself, but he's so down on himself. And I wonder, has he always been that way since, because she knew him as a kid, so I'm wondering, like, was he always like that, or is that like a more recent thing, I mean, because even Ellie knew it, and knew him in middle school, up to like middle school, so it must be a thing of he's always kind of probably had that to some extent. But yeah, he's going to have to take on a role in the Cinderella play, one that will have him on stage the most, because that way she can do her perfect performance. Anytime she needs to, take off her bra and underwear and needs it replaced, he's got to be on stage playing the role of her closet. So when it comes to the class voting, like, they didn't even have to, like, have a conversation, because she's like, okay, so who's going to play Cinderella? Everyone's like, oh my God, obviously it's got to be you, Takane. And it's like, oh, cool. And so I was like, cool, who's going to do the lighting when it comes to some of the backstage stuff? And no one else is volunteering. And Koshi's like, I'll do it. And she's so pissed. She's like, nope. Hops on top of the desk, takes off her underwear. It's like, we're running that back. So has Koshi come up, trying to pretend like, oh, this is for me to slip her underwear on. But in actuality, like, after everyone volunteers for her to be Cinderella, it's like, oh, who should be the prince? And he's like, wait, you asked about, like, some behind the scene production stuff beforehand. And he's like, and then she's there rubbing her butt against him. And he's just like, oh God, this is too much. And it's like, oh, she's trying to force my hand. And plenty of people throw up their hands. They're like, oh, I want to be the prince. I want to be the prince. And then we finally meet the final character from the opening, Seiyu, who he's from a high standing or whatever. We don't know what his circumstances really are. This is our only, just like the Ellie situation, how we got introduced to her at the end of one episode and got, a proper introduction to her the next episode. The same thing happens here. It's also interesting to know, like, wow, he's in their same class. But it's like, oh, he's at the same standing as Takane, but apparently he doesn't have the best reputation, apparently, with girls, which is interesting. I guess, like, either he's such a slime ball when it comes to girls or something, or maybe it's going to be a thing of, yeah, he's got a terrible reputation, but maybe we're going to find out that there's a little bit more to it than that. Maybe that's going to be part of his storyline. But a lot of the guys. There was even a girl that was offering like, "Oh, I could be the one that puts who slips the slipper onto you." But yeah, everyone backed down, and it seemed like, oh, it was just clearly going to go to Seiyu. And then Takane's like, "Well, he does like me, and but the fact of the matter is, like, maybe I should make him my second closet, and then he'll probably want to take advantage of that, want something from me in return. But I guess it is what it is." And so Koshi, being who he is like, right, I don't think he'd ever take advantage of Takane, but just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. And I love there's some people like, who is he? And just like, oh man, he's getting the Okurun, or rather Ken treatment from Dan to Dan, where people are like, wait, who are you? Wait, there's someone like you in our class? So like we don't really see many people. I mean, once again, like most of the people every character is just background characters in the show, but like we see people interact with Takane all the time. The student council president makes a lot of sense, but she's very popular and everyone looks up to her. He's always, I mean, he even says it himself of like, yeah, like, fading to the background has always been his thing. And that's why, she wants to, push him more to the forefront, like I said, so that he's a little more confident in himself. So some very, very interesting development. I'm curious to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. There's supposedly 12 episodes in this season, so I could definitely see it kind of being maybe like a two-parter situation that maybe like episode 11 is a lot of setup and obviously trying to see who actually gets the role, and then episode 12 is like the conclusion and wrap up to it all. So I'm curious to see if that ends up being kind of the structure for like the last two episodes of the season, if it is in fact 12 episodes. But either way, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.